everybody. Welcome back to Through Thick and Skin podcast. My name is Megan Pattison.
And I'm Erin Jensen.
And we are your hosts for episode number 7.
Oh my gosh.
It's been a blast, you guys.
Lucky number 7.
Lucky number 7 for sure. We've been loving all the engagement from the Instagram with you guys, and we pose a lot of questions to get your feedback. We definitely appreciate the reviews on the Apple Music Store. And we kind of threw it out there, like, are there any... So far, we've come up with our own topics.
Yes.
But we have asked, are there any topics that you'd like us to cover?
Yeah, because we can talk about beauty and skincare and aesthetics all day long, but I think there's a lot more depth to us. And there's a lot of things that we know a lot of stuff about. Yeah,
that people are kind of curious to know about the different levels, dimensions of us as people. So like we mentioned in the very beginning, this is not just going to be a beauty podcast. This is not going to be a skincare podcast. This is more of a comprehensive getting to know us as sisters, as working together in an industry. And yeah, so today's topic is travel. A lot of people have been asking about it. I mean, I get like DMs a lot about asking for tips and things like that on my favorite places to visit. On Mexico, obviously, I have a very soft spot in my heart for Mexico. I love the country. So we're just kind of going to get into that and travel as a whole.
You were traveling before traveling was really popular. You know what I'm saying? Like pre-social media days.
Yes. I didn't even think of that. But like when we were younger, when we were like 8 or 10 years old, our parents said you could have one big Christmas present. And usually that one big Christmas present was a bike for Erin. My brother wanted a Game Boy, and I wanted a Southwest round trip ticket to Sacramento, California. That was my big Christmas present because I loved airports. I loved being on airplanes. And by the way, my best friend had moved to Chico. So that was my big Christmas present, was an airplane ticket. I value experiences. I think that's very pertinent to me as an adult, is that, you know, my brother wanted a video game, my sister wanted a bicycle, and I wanted a 3-day weekender as an 8-year-old. And this was the days where like my parents could walk me to the gate.
Plop you on, and the stewardess took care of you.
Yeah, and you had like a little plastic ticket for a boarding pass. Like this was OG Ontario Airport, Old Terminal.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've been traveling for a really long time. I mean, when I was 18, I moved to San Francisco. I love being in airports. Like TSA agents turn me on, checking in, like the ins and outs.
You have a love
airplanes.
And hate. We just talked about how much we hated TSA a few episodes ago.
We did talk about the hate for TSA because you're an amateur and you don't know how to utilize.
Please school me in your ways, Master Megan.
So you guys know that my past life, if you've been listening, I was a travel manager for Steve Aoki, Gabriel Iglesias, Future Islands. I did Amazon Films. I managed a lot of people's travels, a lot of DJs, a lot of bands. And so I had to, for my livelihood, learn the ins and outs. Because it was not an uncommon question for Steve to say, I need to fly to Shanghai. I have to have a morning flight only, and it needs to be a lay flat business class or first class. What do you got? He cannot wait a day for me to figure that shit out. No. So I have a lot of websites that I utilize for international travel to check out plane sizes, the configurations, configs, we call it. So I'm going to drop some knowledge with you guys that you guys are going to get today. Megan's what Aoki would pay for.
Yes.
You guys are going to get for free.
And this is not budget travel. These are not budget travel tips. We're not trying to break the bank, but we're going to tell you the quality way to do things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even if you don't travel very often, this is still important stuff. For people who are very savvy travelers, they know the right website to buy from. But for me, I will pay a little extra to have a more enjoyable experience.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's talk about just like basics, regardless of where you're going, regardless of how long your trip is, what class of service you're flying, the TSA experience.
Can you explain class of service too? Because I didn't really know that term.
Okay, so class of service is economy, basic economy, business class, first class, comfort plus. A lot of different airlines have different classes of service. For instance, Southwest is a completely economy flight. If you've been on a Southwest flight, there's no business class. I mean, the way they put you on the plane, you can have like A-list status, etc. But every fucking seat is the same on a Southwest flight, okay? That is a class of service is economy.
Got
it. Most domestic flights, like from LA to New York, it's mostly economy and then business class. Some airlines like Delta has a business class and then like a premium economy service and then a business class. Okay. Then when you go international, that's when it gets gnarly.
The showers in the apartments.
Yes, that's like Emirates and the really fancy airlines that go to Dubai. Like, yes, you can rent an apartment. I've booked it for a client of mine. It was like a $20,000 flight one way. And you do get a shower. It's like a 10-minute shower in your own private apartment. You have a lay flat bed. You get personalized linens. It's over the top. But if you are, a chic or something like that, that ain't no thing. Mm-hmm. That's like a drop in the bucket. Mm-hmm. So, I come with class of service. So we got that out of the way.
Class of service.
Class of service. Most people fly economy, and that's absolutely fine. I have certain rules, personal rules for myself when I fly economy. When I fly business class, I am 6 feet tall. So any flight over 3.5 hours, I have to be very strategic with where I sit. Mm-hmm. All right. If you're short, you don't care. It doesn't matter. But anyways, so before you even get to the airport, all right. Security. We all know about security at airports and how it's gotten really strict. We all know that you can't have over a certain amount of liquids in your bag. Mm-hmm. We all know that post 9/11, things really changed. Yeah. And the one thing I recommend every single person on this planet to get, or every American, I should say, is TSA PreCheck and global entry.
It's not that hard to get.
Regardless of if you fly once a year, internationally, once a year domestically. What TSA PreCheck and global entry are, they are two different programs, but they fall under a government program that allows you to get through security in an expedited fashion. Mm-hmm. So TSA PreCheck is when you are waiting in line at the airport and you see all these people sliding past you with their shoes on and their belts on and their jacket, and you're like, fuck them. Like, why are they getting in front of me? What kind of, privilege do they have? It's called TSA PreCheck and it's $95. Okay. You could have it as well. Mm-hmm. All right. It's a very simple thing to sign up for. Once you sign up for this TSA PreCheck, you go to a specific website. I can't remember it, but Google it and it will take you to a government website. Mm-hmm. You sign up for TSA PreCheck, then you have to book an appointment to see a government official to answer some questions, get a fingerprint, and then you wait a few weeks and then boom, you have TSA PreCheck. Yeah. Now what that does is that cuts you in front of almost everybody. The caveat with TSA PreCheck is that it sometimes isn't available at all airports.
Yes. Which we learned in New York.
At JFK. Sometimes TSA just doesn't want to open the PreCheck line, or maybe they're all on lunch break, and so you have to funnel through one line, and they don't care. Or a small airport like Burbank, for example, it's such a small airport, they don't have a separate TSA PreCheck line, which is fine. They just give you a laminated card that says you don't have to take your jacket or your belt off or your shoes, which for me, that is totally worth it. Like, I keep my fit on, I'm looking good, I don't have to bend out with my butt crack hanging out to take off my shoes.
I hate like bare feet on a dirty floor.
Yeah, so or gross. I might have a hole in my sock. How mortifying. Like those petty socks are very thin. So like my toe might be popping out and my future husband might be behind me in line. So TSA PreCheck is pretty much you are vetted by the United States government, and you can breeze through security fairly quickly. It has saved my life countless times. I have nearly missed flights, but TSA PreCheck comes through in the clutch. That's when you're going into the airport. The other thing to note is that TSA PreCheck is not 100% guaranteed on your boarding pass.
It won't always print, even though you register it or your name is linked to your name. Yes,
even though so this is the thing, you could add it to a ticket. But the government still has the right to pull it off randomly. It's kind of like a quality check.
Yes. So
you could get approved for TSA PreCheck, but you could be doing shady shit. And this is how they quality control it. All right. But in my years as a travel manager, it wasn't that. It was because somebody mixed up the numbers.
Yes. Or there's a lot of numbers to put in when you're really working your ticket, your loyalty number, your TSA PreCheck number.
That's the thing, y'all. The way you can cut all that bullshit is that if all of your loyalty numbers, which each different airline is up to date and correct, including your TSA PreCheck, once you put your loyalty number in, it populates everything. It's your number, it's your birthday, it's your passport, it's your TSA, everything. Okay. So there's no need to do extra work.
That's why I'm always calling Megan. Megan, do my PreCheck number.
Oh my gosh, I get PTSD. Like
she hates
I'm an assistant again. But when I was an assistant, I was flying
help me.
private. So, I mean, it was worth being somebody's bitch. It's not worth being Erin's bitch to pull up all of her and her children's
I
loyalty
have a lot of
numbers.
kids too.
So with TSA PreCheck, so TSA PreCheck is domestic to get into an airport, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There are some airports across the world that do not have TSA PreCheck. So if you are in bumfuck Thailand or something like that in some jungle airport, it's probably not going to have TSA PreCheck.
Yeah, so
all
just
right?
get there a little early.
Get there a little early and don't fret and don't throw a fit and don't be an obnoxious American when you're like, I have PreCheck. Like, where's my expedited pass? So TSA PreCheck is one entity of of this government program. There's also global entry. Global entry is what happens when you land from an international destination. So you land at LAX after a trip and you see the queue to go and see border or like customs. Nightmarish, right?
So many people.
I mean, it makes a lot of people like turn off from even flying internationally, I think, or like cars, like your car service, your taxi. It's just the last thing you want to do after like an 8-hour flight is deal with customs.
Is wait 2 hours in a
Yes.
customs line. Yes.
Pro tip: get global entry. All right. So global entry is, once again, you get interviewed, you get a fingerprint, and you instead of having to wait in line, you go directly to an electronic kiosk where they scan your passport. They take a picture of you, and it prints out a little piece of paper. You have an expedited line to customs. I mean, this guy barely looked at mine the last time I was there. I was out through customs in 10 minutes.
Wow.
While everyone else was behind with their
At
annoying
LAX
children at LAX.
too?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you could do TSA PreCheck separately from global entry, but because some people are like, I never travel internationally. You never know when you're going to have to go to a wedding in Mexico or go to London for work. So I highly suggest, if you don't have either of these memberships, to do a combined global entry and TSA PreCheck. Okay. So TSA PreCheck alone is $95. Global entry alone is $100. And so the combined price is like $185, $195. Also, I would check with your credit cards because I got TSA PreCheck for free with using my American Express. So that's another pro tip, hack if any of your credit cards offer that. But essentially, you sign up for both TSA PreCheck and global entry online, and then you set up an appointment. Getting an appointment at LAX is like a 6-month waiting list or something ridiculous. The way to avoid that, like I did, is drive to the border. I drove to Otay Mesa. I had a 6 a.m. appointment, and I had my TSA PreCheck global entry and Sentry within 2 weeks.
Now, what's Century?
Sentry is a physical land border crossing between the United States and Mexico. So it's not a passport card. It is a physical ID that has its own name, Sentry, that gets me through the border from Mexico to United States in driving only. Okay, you need a passport to fly on an airplane. You could use a passport card on a cruise ship, but when you're driving, and you could use a passport driving through land as well, but your border wait in Tijuana will be 5 to 6 hours. Yeah. It's a nightmare. I have a Sentry pass, so when I got this appointment in Otay Mesa, I was on my way to Mexico anyway, so I was very strategic about it. I had this one interview. It took 15 minutes. They took my fingerprint. I had the trifecta. TSA PreCheck, global entry, and a Sentry card, and I'm good for 5 years.
Yeah, that's not bad. So how much did all of that cost you?
$195.
Wow.
Because when I was there, he's like, hey, you want global entry too? I was like, fuck yeah, I want a global entry.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'll include it. He's like, no worry, $195.
Wow.
And most people don't need Sentry cards because they don't drive through the border, but because I drive to Mexico
But why not just have it?
Exactly. Like,
why not just check all the boxes, pay the extra money? Because that's what convenience is all about.
Yes. And we in here at the treatment, we are all about conveniences whether it's technology, like having an electronic system to send text reminders, the efficiency of our product ordering.
Efficiency. I mean, I always recommend to my Botox clients, get a facial every time you get Botox done. Because then you're at least doing something for your skin quarterly. You don't have to make an extra visit here. It's like 1 extra hour every 4 months, and boom, you're done.
That's
Just
it.
do it all at once.
Yeah. So efficiency in our professional and personal life is what I'm all about. So yeah, I think those are, if you haven't gotten that yet, do it now. I don't have Clear. That's the one thing I don't have. I'm not super familiar with it, to be quite honest, and they haven't given me any money. So I'm not going to talk about them.
I almost feel like you get a lot of perks from all the other cards you have. If you have all that stuff down.
Yeah,
then,
for sure.
Yeah.
It's really just so important. And I mean, the amount... It's saved my life so many times where I'm just like, thank you, TSA pre-check. So pro tip, also sign up for a loyalty account with every single, the main 3 alliances of airlines. Is this boring?
No.
Are you interested?
Yes, I'm interested.
Cool.
Because I call your ass every other month when I have to go on a trip.
It's so annoying.
And I need my help. I need help. I have points. What do I do with my points?
You have so many assistants. They need to keep track
You
of this
always
in a
say
document.
that. I really don't have that many assistants.
You have 3.
I have medical assistants that help me with my medical stuff.
You have at least 1. Okay. I have none, and I have everyone's life organized.
Yeah.
So in the airline world, there are 3 huge alliances. So an alliance is pretty much just like a group of airlines that all band together and work with each other. Yeah. So I don't know if you've ever purchased a ticket on Delta.com, but then you're flying on a Aeromexico airplane.
Yes.
Okay. Because Aeromexico and Delta are partners. They're partner airlines. Okay. They're part of the same alliance, SkyTeam. So SkyTeam is an alliance where they all kind of share loyalty programs. So rather than signing up for an Aeromexico loyalty number, I have a Delta number that I ride or die for.
You love Delta.
I have a Delta Amex. I'm a stand for Delta. I love their customer service. Their snacks are incredible. Their Biscoff cookies are
really good.
Fire. And they fly to where I want to go. They have hubs in cities I'm really into: JFK, Atlanta, Los Angeles.
Their Sky Lounges are great.
And they have great perks. I really, really love Delta. Yeah. So when I flew Aeromexico, I used Delta points for an Aeromexico flight. It's called a code share. Okay. So if you're flying on let's say Air Italia, all right? I don't even know if that airline still exists. It was kind of on the verge of bankruptcy. I think it's an Italian airline.
Okay.
That is under the SkyTeam blanket or like the umbrella. So I do not sign up for every single airline.
You don't have to.
No, because Delta covers it all.
Yeah.
And also you can use your Delta miles to buy flights on these other airlines. So I highly suggest, if you haven't done so already, once again, people have this attitude where I barely fly. I barely fly. Okay, well, you could create a loyalty account sitting on the toilet. Like you're already scrolling on, the internet. Like why not just create it and keep it in your phone? What I do is I create a note that I have all my loyalty numbers for airlines, hotels, rental car companies, whatever. And then I have it as a favorite in my photos. So my favorites, it's a picture of my license plate and my loyalty numbers. You know what I mean? So those are numbers I frequently use. And, once you have, so there's SkyTeam, which is Delta, Aeromexico, Air France, KLM. There's, the One World Alliance. I believe that's United, Lufthansa, no, that's American. I'm sorry. One World is like American Airlines, Cathay Pacific. American Airlines pretty much runs the world. Like they fly everywhere, hugely popular. And so definitely get a loyalty number, and then you could apply it to those other little flights on those little airlines that American Airlines is associated with. Okay. And then Star Alliance is United, Lufthansa, those other airlines.
Now, when you are going to fly somewhere, do you always look at the Delta page first to see if Delta flies there first?
This is my process.
Strategy.
So I'm so familiar with, for instance, I have to go to Nashville. Okay. And Nashville is a hub for Southwest. All right. So there are a lot of websites. What most people go to is they're like, I'm going to go to kayak.com and I'm going to look up a flight and I'm going to book through Kayak. Okay. I don't trust that shit.
I learned that so early from you.
Exactly. I don't trust that shit because people think, Kayak has the better rates. No, it doesn't. Kayak does not fucking save you money. Yeah. Okay. The way Kayak works is that they buy a whole bunch of seats on an airplane, a whole bunch of seats on a hotel. And then they take your money, but those airlines and those hotels, they don't get that money. So I can't tell you how many people were like, when I worked at the W, would be like, hey, I booked my room on kayak.com. I'm here for a super romantic weekend with my boyfriend. And I noticed that I'm putting a room with 2 doubles.
Like, well, that's
what kayak is a run. Like kayak is a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would W promise you a king size bed with rose petals on the bed when they're only paying Kayak a portion of what anybody else through the hotels? So this is a segue pro tip. Always book directly with the hotel.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
There's no website, there's no aggregator on the internet that is going to offer something cheaper. Okay?
But if you don't care about quality, about anything, like if you're looking for cheap,
I'm sorry, I just don't I can't tell
I
you
know.
how many nightmares. People come to the hotel and be like, here's my confirmation number from Hotels Tonight in the quickness.com. And I'm like, what the fuck is it? I don't know what this is.
Yeah.
And then they're super frustrated. It's like people think that they are saving money by going through these third parties. Mm-hmm. And from being in the hospitality industry, when people would pull that card, like, well, I'm about to book on Kayak, I'll be like, go check directly on our website. Not only will we get you the same rate, but we'll get you 2 drink coupons.
Yeah.
Because
they usually match that.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's, if anything goes down, it's on the hotel's. Like,
that's like when people are like, well, the last place I used to go to would give me $8 unit Botox. I'm like, well, why the fuck are you here then?
Exactly. Then get the step in.
Exactly.
Get out of here. It's just amazing how people think. I mean, also the time you spent on these aggregators, the confusion. If you want to change a flight, you are screwed. Mm-hmm. If you want to change a flight, kiss your money goodbye. Okay. Pretty much every airline except for Southwest allows free flight changes, is a $200 change fee minimum. Yeah. That's domestic. That doesn't include international, okay? Say you book a flight and you're like, oh, I got the dates wrong. You legally, technically have 24 hours from the date of purchase to change without penalty. So they don't say that very bold, but if you look at the fine print of any of the tickets you buy,
you like bought the wrong day or something like that.
Yeah, or you realize you're flying, you got the city pairs wrong or something like that. You have a 24-hour window. So I always recommend just checking again like a day later before the cutoff, and you can get the money completely refunded. After that 24-hour part, then you have to pay at least a change fee, not including the difference in fare. Yeah. Okay, so third party. So this is how I operate. For instance, I have to go to Tennessee in July. I live in East Los Angeles. Okay, I live the 3 airports I look at. Number 1, Burbank. Mm-hmm. Number 2, LAX. Number 3, Ontario. Number 4, John Wayne. Okay.
That's your order.
I know BNA, which is the city code for Nashville, is a Southwest hub. Okay. It's also an American hub. So if you didn't know that, what I recommend is this website. It's a non-paid for, completely ad-free website created by Google, called the Google IST Matrix.
Ooh.
This is a secret website.
This
is a total secret website, okay? This is, because when I was a travel agent, I used a system called Sabre, which looked like archaic MS-DOS. But it was a really quick, you know how like court reporters type in shorthand? Mm-hmm. I would be able to type in shorthand like the cities, the date, the class of service, the amount of people, and then it would pull up every single airline across the world. Wow. So Google, it's a little more user-friendly. It's just drop-down menus and stuff like that, but I could be very specific. So this is not a Kayak. It's not a cheaptravel.com. Mm-hmm. It is provided for by Google. Okay. So look it up, Google ITS Matrix, something like that.
We'll put it in our show notes on the website.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Mm-hmm. And what you do is I put in the city pair. It allows you to say like any other nearby airports, and then I make it nonstop. I will take a nonstop flight if it means me driving to Los Angeles International.
Yeah, you hate layovers.
Because it's a crapshoot. You don't know what's going to happen. I missed a flight going to Buffalo, New York. I landed at JFK and we pushed back late and the pilot didn't make up for it in the air. And I missed my little flight to Buffalo, New York, like my 30-minute flight. And I was stuck at JFK for like 8 hours. So that was the last time where I was like, I can't trust any of, So anyways, I'm very, very specific. There's some people that are like, I love to stretch my legs. I got a kid. I got a pump, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like for me, major inconvenience. Yes. I want to get there. So I am very specific with my parameters, get very clear. But there are also some places you cannot fly nonstop. Mm-hmm. And I know that I cannot fly from like Ontario to Miami nonstop.
You have to lay over in Dallas.
There's a layover because Ontario is a very small airport.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So
you put it in the aggregator.
Yes.
And then it shows your options.
Yeah. So an aggregator is a word to describe something that gathers everything. Yeah. So this gathers from every airline except for Southwest. Southwest is a freak. They're an anomaly. They are not part of an agreement called ARC, which is a travel term. So that's the one airline you have to check separately. Okay. So I knew I was going to check Southwest on my own, right? And I've discovered there are 2 very similar flights as far as cost and duration and everything between American and Southwest. Okay. Then I look at my points. I was like, how many points do I got in Southwest? How many points do I have in American? Yeah. Maybe I could burn up some points. Then I remember, American, you have to pay for seats.
Oh, yeah. If you want to pick like one with more legroom
Yeah.
or an aisle or a
An
window.
aisle, no, just basics. Like I have never in my entire life flown in a middle seat. I've never. I would cancel.
Megan,
flight.
8 years old, was like, "Move it, bitch! I need the aisle."
No, I was the first one on the plane sitting bulkhead, which is the name of the seat in the very front in the aisle. I'm very particular. If it's a flight over 4 hours, I'll do a window.
So the American seat could have been cheaper, but you still would have had to pay for your seat.
Yes,
in
because
turn making it more expensive.
I will not just be like, oh, I'll wait till 24 hours before check-in. Like I do not rely on that.
No. Because if you're not assigned a seat, you're more likely to get bumped off
That's
a
correct.
full flight. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's so many tips on that. But essentially what it's going to come down to is I'm going to go with Southwest because I could pay $15 or whatever for like the A-list or to get on a little bit earlier if I'm really particular about a seat. I'm so good about checking in on Southwest that I don't usually get past the B boarding group. And then I also... if things go down, I have to change my plans. There's no change fee with Southwest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know?
So you're not necessarily looking for the most expensive flight. You're not looking for the cheapest flight.
No.
You're finding a combination of all those things. What's most convenient, but a decent price.
Yeah, exactly. Because for me, I will pay a little extra to avoid laying over in a certain airport. Like for instance, although I'm a Delta ho, I will avoid flying Air France at all costs, and not because Air France is an incredible airline. Their food is spectacular. Their food is so bomb. Their staff is really nice, but every fucking flight lays over in Charles de Gaulle, Paris airport, and that airport is a nightmare. I could have a 3-hour layover and will be sweating balls running through CDG, which is the Paris airport.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's just like my little pro tip with you guys. So to kind of wrap that part up, get pre-check and global entry right now. Sign up for it. You don't know. You might meet your future boyfriend and he's a jet setter and he wants to take you all over the world, or a sugar daddy. And if you don't have global entry, sugar daddies don't fuck with that.
They don't want to wait in line.
No,
with
they
you.
don't. What their
find the
limo
next
is
young
waiting
hoe.
outside, and you're stuck there feeling like a chump and be like, I should have listened to Megan. I should have gotten global entry. Damn. So definitely do that. Also sign up for loyalty programs. Even if you think you're never going to fly, you just never know. I just got back from Mexico City, actually, paid for the entire trip on points.
Wow.
And also, you know, for me, I have a Delta credit card.
So that's what you focus your points on.
Yes. I've been thinking about getting a different airline credit card, but I'm not sure yet. I'm not ready to commit to that yet. So, you know, for me, I like my favorite destinations. We could talk about that a little bit too.
Yeah.
Mexico, without a doubt. I go to Mexico at least once a month. I drive down there at least once a month. This recent trip, I flew into Mexico City, which was awesome. Mexico City is so vibrant, but I was blown away at how many extranjeros were there. Like there were a lot of Americans there, like girls on bachelorette parties.
Yeah, I think a lot of times if you live in Southern California, you think Cabo, Mexico, Cabo.
Exactly.
Mexico,
Cancun,
Ensenada,
Puerto Vallarta.
Yes.
Cabo. No.
But it's the travel's expanding so much more.
Oh yeah, well, because I think people are getting hip to how beautiful and rich Central Mexico is.
Yeah.
You know, where I studied was there. I was north of Mexico City, and it was super colonial, beautiful churches. I mean, you visited me.
Oh, yeah.
When I lived in Querétaro.
I came with the grandma. Grandma wanted to come down
Bless
and visit
her heart.
you.
Our grandma, rest in peace. She passed away a few years ago. She was so Catholic.
She named her
Catholic.
kids Mary and Joseph. Seriously.
I love her. I love my grandma Scotty. And when I was living in Querétaro, there's a whole bunch we're surrounded by beautiful ornate churches with like gilded ceilings. And so grandma wanted to come down. She brought you and my brother.
Yes.
And it was hilarious.
God, I love grandma, but she was a pain in the ass to travel with.
Yeah. She was a very well-heeled traveler.
Yes.
So I think her spirit lives through me. Like she went to see the Great Wall of China alone or like with her priest.
Yes.
She always loved a good little travel experience. And she was originally from Canada. So I definitely have a little bit of my grandma in me, but she came to visit, and it was, you know, it's tough getting around like uncharted Mexico.
And this was before smartphones, before you could like Google Translate. I didn't speak Spanish. She doesn't speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Michael, our brother, didn't speak Spanish. So it was interesting. We were at breakfast one time and she was getting so upset because we didn't know how to say bacon in Spanish.
You were alone.
I was alone. I was
her.
not with Megan. And
it's funny because my grandma she'll like look at the menu and speak in complete English and be like, I want pancakes. And the waiter's just dumbfounded, like, what? And she's like, I don't understand. What's going on? Yeah. So she got really frustrated. One time we were having breakfast. She met my ex-fiance, boyfriend, whatever you want to call him. And he grabbed her hand and was like, Senora Patison, it's so nice to meet you. And she was like, oh my God. And his name is Moses. Because his name was Moses. And so she met my little boyfriend and she was like, I want a coffee, literally in English. She was like, I want a black coffee. Because she was a nurse, and so she drank black coffee all day long. And she was like, make an order. He just doesn't understand. And so in Spanish, I said to the waiter, I said, sir, she wants her coffee the same way she likes her men, black and hot. And she was like, And the waiter was like, ay, Dios mío, oh my gosh, que cachonda. But it was hilarious because she had no idea what was going on. And
see, it was beautiful though when we were down there.
It was nothing you'd ever experienced. I mean, even my parents came down. We went to Guanajuato, and they were like, I feel like I'm in Europe. Because,
cobblestone streets. And what do you say to people that think that Mexico is dangerous to travel to?
I think traveling is dangerous all over. I lived in Chicago, and I felt that my experience in Chicago felt a little more dangerous than when I was actually living in Mexico. That's not to say that Chicago isn't beautiful, and I go back as much as possible because I do. There are certain this is the thing. When people talk shit on me going to Mexico, I go to Mexico often alone. They're like, oh, it's so dangerous, the cartels, this or that. And I understand that, but I never put myself in precarious situations. I'm never wasted in Mexico. No. If you ask all your homeboys that get jumped or robbed in Cabo or Cancun, 9 times out of 10, they were drunk.
Yeah.
And you look like a mark.
On 2 a.m. stumbling the streets.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Mexico relies on tourism as an industry, petroleum, tourism, and I think a little food is what their main forms of industry are. So they really want to make us feel welcome and comfortable and safe. If you've ever eaten at a Mexican restaurant, you could say, cut my food up and feed it to me. And they'll be like, claro que sí, señorita. Lo que quieras. Al tu servicio. Like every Mexican experience I've had, it's been over the top as far as service. But it's not for everybody. Yeah. Just like visiting China isn't for everybody. Just like visiting Europe isn't for everybody. There's some people that don't like the small streets, or they don't like the small hotel rooms, or they don't like the congestion of the subway. But for me, I always recommend to people, just be aware. Don't be on your phone. Don't be in your headphones. And don't be drunk stumbling around. Yeah. You look like a sucker. So I personally...
So you feel comfortable.
I feel very comfortable. I do also speak fluent Spanish. Yeah. So I think the people who travel with me are like, wow, it makes it so much easier because I'm traveling with you. But that's just because I've been in love with the country since I was little. Yeah. And I have a lot of respect and admiration. So yeah, I love Mexico City was great, but at some points I felt like I was in Silver Lake, which I didn't fly 4 hours to be brunching at a spot that felt like Silver Lake. But the architecture was incredible. I went to a lot of Luis Barragan houses. He's a very, very well-known Mexican architect. Had some amazing tuna tostadas. So it's a really fun trip to explore the city center of Mexico, the museums, the culture, the taco stands, have a really nice dinner. Absolutely love it. But for us local Southern Californians, Valle de Guadalupe, which is kind of on the come up, is pretty much the North Baja Mexico wine country.
I can't believe you're saying that right now. You just told me that it was your secret and you didn't want to get out.
I'm not going to give you guys my restaurants, because the restaurants I go to, I walk in and they're like, oh, es la güerota, ¿cómo andas? They know me there because I always bring friends with me and I introduce them to the chefs. I definitely stick out. But Valle de Guadalupe, you guys can do your own homework on it. It's Mexican wine country. Yeah. I mean, a lot of hipsters are heading down there. I think New York Times wrote an article on it. Vogue featured it. So it's not a secret. It's definitely out there, but a lot of people don't want to go because they don't feel comfortable driving. I've been driving to Mexico since I was in my early 20s, so I don't have a problem with it, and I also have Centurion, like I talked about. But beyond Mexico, I do love exploring other parts of the world. I mean, I didn't fly to Europe until I was 30. 5 years ago. That was my very first visit to Europe because I didn't want to do it on a shoestring budget.
No.
I didn't want to stay in a hostel.
No. Outside of Mexico, what was your favorite? Where is the favorite place? Most favorite place you've traveled to?
That's so tough. I would have to say, Lisbon was amazing. Lisbon, Portugal. I mean, as soon as I landed, every single man under 35, or I should say 40, looked like a fucking soccer player, like a professional hot soccer player. They all looked alike. They all have like very dark hair and like inky brown eyes, and were fit. But me and my friend Vanessa were like, "What the is in the water? Like these taxi drivers are fine." I had like instant boyfriend. Like we went to this amazing club that was just for me. When I like to travel, of course, I like to check out the sights, but I'm not one to like, if I went to Paris, I've never been to Paris, by the way, I would not necessarily go see like the Louvre or the Mona Lisa, or, I mean, of course I'll walk by the Eiffel Tower. I'd rather go to like the underground club.
Yeah.
Like where are the local Parisians? Like I'd rather go to a cafe and just watch people walk by and journal. That's more my vibe. That's more my lane. So with Lisbon, I went to an incredible dance club called Lux, and it was the 25th year anniversary or something like that. It was a Tuesday night, and I left at like 5 a.m. and people were still raging. It was amazing. And also, like, architecturally speaking, it was beautiful. Oslo, Norway was incredible. I had the most ridiculous food, the wildest food in my life.
You need a travel blog.
Everyone has a travel blog.
Okay, we'll just put some stuff in our show notes.
Yeah, that's so basic. But Oslo, I've never seen more beautiful people in my life. Male, female, old, young, regardless of race, every single person was gorgeous. Yeah. Like, the girl that worked at McDonald's was stunning. I thought I was gay for a second. But I wasn't when I saw the dude laying out in the sun with his biker shorts on across the cafe from me. I pretty much had my binoculars out spying on him. So yeah, there's a few places for me, it's very important that the city's walkable, that the food is good, and that the people are friendly, and that I do feel safe. So, but for me, I'm always, whenever I travel, I always, I don't bring a lot of money on me. I don't keep my passport on me. Like, there's just little things I've learned, because when I hear these horror stories of people getting mugged or whatever, like, the common thread is like they're in a dark, wrong place at the wrong time.
Yes.
And they're fucking wasted.
Yeah. And they have all their money in their back pocket.
Yeah. You just look like Mark. So, I mean, my next trip is, I'm going to Nashville for a festival, Bonnaroo. Which is a little hippy dippy, but it should be an interesting experience. So I'm going to be in Nashville for that. But I'm always down for a little trip. Yeah. But for you can't really do much because you have kids.
Well, you can. I mean, there's people that travel the world with their kids. Yeah. But I don't know. I'm more of a domestic diva. I like. I'm really big about the weekenders. 2 to 3 day nights, and it's been different since building this business. I don't take as much time off. Yeah. And I come from the perspective, and to each their own, but my kids are young, and I hear every day from my patients that it goes so fast, make sure you soak it up. My oldest is 9 years old. So to me, she only has 9 more years of being in our household. So for me, I think about, I can do the 2 to 3 week vacations when they're older, maybe when they're in high school, a little bit later, but that's just personally me. I'd rather stay at home or do little things with them. So I think the amazing thing about living in Southern California is that you can go to Mexico, you can go to Northern California, you can go to Scottsdale, you can go to Palm Springs, everywhere, like these little trips, which are so fun. So I guess I'm mostly like the little puddle jumper trips.
Yeah, which is fine. Yeah, I couldn't imagine like paying for myself and for other people.
Well, I will tell you this. We went to Hawaii last year, and that was like our big trip. And bought our tickets on points. And I'm like, well, shoot, I have a lot of points. Like, I want to fly first class. Yeah. But I'm like, shoot, I got to pay for 3 kids to fly first class. And I want to be that person.
We are adults. As adults, we did not sit in first class until I was 27.
I questioned, like, can I put my kids in coach and just fly first class?
No, you can't. By the way, everybody, I know you're asking that because I had a lot of clients, celebrity clients, who wanted to sit them, like husband and wife, and then have the kids in the back. You can't do that. You have to have a nanny with them. You have to have an adult with them.
I know. So I was that person that flew the kids first class, but just the one time.
And it was points.
It was points too. And
it wasn't like you're spending money. It was points.
No.
Yeah. So pro tip, get a card that earns really, really good points.
Yes.
Okay. Look into it. For sure. So yeah, I mean, we haven't traveled. Well, we kind of traveled much as like a family whole. Mm-hmm. I think our favorite trip together this past year, Scottsdale, probably.
Yeah, we went for my husband's 40th birthday.
It was lit.
It was fun.
Because there were like 50 people on the trip, yes, including my mom, who gets loose on the goose. She loves her appletinis and crab legs. My mom's fun. If you guys ever meet, I mean, Nico talked about our mom in the past episode, but seriously, like my mom, Like I get a lot of my sense of humor and my lightheartedness from my mom. She's a really good time.
Yeah, she's fun.
Deb, if you see her around, that's our mama. But yeah, so we, for me, travel, the way I see travel, there are some people that don't like being in hotels. They don't like the unfamiliarity. They feel very safe at home. They want to be, I mean, that's a little more, I wouldn't say you're not into unfamiliarity, but there's so much logistics involved.
But I will tell you, like, I personally don't like Airbnbs. It kind of grosses me out.
Okay. I agree with you. All right. On certain things. Airbnb, it's a very controversial topic, and we don't have time to get into it because I've lived in San Francisco and Los Angeles, and Airbnb in the city can kind of get at it. But when I stayed in Oslo, there was no hotel in the neighborhood I wanted to stay in.
Yeah.
Everything is at the waterfront. Everything is kind of stuffy. I wanted to stay in the local, younger area where there are cool restaurants and bars, and I found an Airbnb Plus, which is a vetted for. I mean, anybody you could throw a closet up on Airbnb.
I know.
And
dirty sheets.
Ew, disgusting. And pubes in the fucking sink. But with Airbnb Plus, it's vetted for. But it's still not perfect.
I know. Like, I want to know that the maids are washing the sheets in bleach every time I'm sleeping in it.
Also, I like room service. I like a robe.
Yes.
I like a hairdryer.
Yes.
I like knowing that, like also when you go to a really nice hotel, they're going to have bomb soaps.
And robes.
Yes. Exactly. I went to a hotel in Chicago and they didn't have a robe, and I called down because sometimes they don't.
Sure, they don't put them in all the rooms.
No,
they didn't have it at all.
No, because it was more of a forward-thinking hotel hinged on like nouveau travelers, like
that don't need robes.
They obviously. I mean, I must be an old soul or just a luxurious lady because I go to hotels for a robe.
I know you do.
I am a robe life. # robe life. That is me. That is what I'm all about. That's what I live for. And this hotel, though, they also didn't have room service, and it's in a traditional sense where it was a linen table that was rolled in with like a ta-da when they pulled the metal top off. No, they brought me room service in a brown paper bag, but the food was bomb. It was just delivered by a guy wearing a polo shirt. It was pretty much Uber Eats, but by the hotel.
Got it.
And that was really cool because it saved on the cost of room service.
Yes.
A room service cheeseburger is $35 out the door once all the service fees and stuff. So anyways, I was like, okay, I got really yummy, fairly inexpensive room service, but I don't have a robe. It threw off my game.
Give or take.
Yeah.
Is there options when you're booking hotels? Like, do you have robes at your hotel?
You'd have to literally call them.
And just ask them.
And the thing is that a lot of times the people who work in the back don't know 100%.
Yes.
So pack your own.
Yeah.
Bring your own travel robe. A really yummy, lightweight cashmere robe, fake cashmere, Nordstrom's.
I also want to talk quickly about travel skincare.
Okay.
So you talk about bring your own stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever done this, but I always save the old crusty samples, like old masks, like samples of cleansers, and put them in my travel bag. And then you get to your travel destination, you're like, what the hell is all this stuff? Like, why am I traveling with this? Where I think it is really best to make sure you are traveling with all of your normal staples that you use all the time.
Yeah.
Because the last thing you want to do is mess up your skin with new products or something that's different or too harsh or too drying when you're on your vacation. You don't want to break out or anything like that.
And a lot of times when you are traveling, you're going to like a different climate.
Yes.
So you're going to like sunnier, humid, hotter weather, or if you're going to the mountains or the colder weather.
Know your climate. If it's going to be more humid, maybe stock up on some glycolic acid to turn over the oil production a little bit faster. If you're more dry, make sure you bring your moisturizers. And whenever you're shopping at your local skincare store, ask for samples.
That's right. We have samples.
If you're nice to us, we'll give you a sample of CE ferulic, which is like a $20 value.
Easily.
Yes.
Easily. I mean, people sell CE ferulic samples on eBay.
I know. Sketch.
Super sketchy. You don't do that because you don't know what they put in it.
No.
Like that's some
Never buy skincare on
aftermarket bootleg.
eBay.
No. I definitely agree. Like what I did from Mexico is because I was just coming off of a peel, I brought a little epidermal repair to help with super compromised dehydrated skin.
Yeah.
I also brought makeup wipes, and don't worry, I brought makeup wipes to get most of the gunk off, and then I used Simply Clean.
Good.
Which a face wash, I should say.
And most of the skincare products are carry-on. Usually just the cleansers are the ones you have to check.
Yes. So the serums and stuff, I just get weary about bringing a full-size serum.
I know.
Because if it cracks or it breaks, you're fucked.
Yes, it's true.
You just bring a small. Also, those bottle sizes really add up. You might not believe it, but like a full-size toothpaste, a full-size serum, a couple of them, as big as you can get, 3 ounces for TSA, it will weigh your bag down.
Yes. Yeah.
And also, you just never know. If my bag gets stolen, I'm always like, I don't want them to steal my Latisse.
No,
you know?
you
So
don't.
I keep my Latisse at home and then I reactivate it once I get back home.
And also, too, you can simplify your skincare when you're traveling. If you're going on vacation to Hawaii, leave your retinol at home. Your wrinkles aren't going to die after not using it for a week or two.
They're not going to come back with a vengeance.
Hi, I'm here. But also make sure you are really, really stocking up on your sunscreens and moisturizers.
Anywhere you go, sunscreen.
Sun, snow, wind, rain, anywhere.
Yeah.
You need sunscreen.
Water, fire. Yes. Planet, Captain Planet. Sunscreen was a lifesaver for me in Mexico City because I didn't want to wear a hat with some outfits. I wanted to look cute, you know? And so but my forehead, I just felt the sun singeing into it. So I just kept reapplying.
Yeah, and the powdered sunscreens are always great to reapply too.
Yeah.
And they're not liquid. You don't have to worry about it.
No, you don't have to worry about them spilling out or anything like that.
So I think we covered a lot of stuff. We talked about skincare, how to, plan your travel really well.
Yeah.
And just how to get a good experience because you want to enjoy it. You work hard, so you want to enjoy your time off.
I'm saying travel, every time I travel, I come back inspired, refreshed. When I was flying back from Norway, I started bawling while flying over Greenland. Couldn't explain why. I can't tell you how many times I've cried on a plane, many times. And not because I'm sad, but because something about travel, I'm telling you, it tickles my soul. It sharpens my axe. And not everybody feels that way. You know what I mean? I work to travel. I get out of bed. I crave any opportunity to hop on a plane. I am about that life. Some people, all they want to do is stay home with their boo. Fuck that. That sounds completely boring. If I have a boo, he's coming with me on the plane. Okay. But there is something, I think travel pays for itself. I think anytime I'm on the fence, I don't know if I should book that. For instance, I was looking at flights today to Copenhagen and Belize. Because why not? Exactly. Why not? That's, some people like to watch The Bachelor. I like to plan vacations. That is my hobby. So, traveling exposes me to so many different ideas. I mean, I can't tell you, when I went to Iceland and I was in the Blue Lagoon and all these different skincare products, that for me was research and development. What do Icelandic women use on their skin? It's stunning. But just getting to know the people. I have friends all across the world. I met one of my really good friends on a bus in Pula, Croatia. I just went to Mexico with her this past week. So for me, travel is everything. It is everything for me. It's what I live for. And so I hope that you guys learned a little something about this stuff. We can make notes more about the actual things that I touched on. But all in all, just from Erin's side, pack the right things.
Pack the right things. Listen to a trusted advisor who knows how to travel.
Yes. You guys people think travel agents are super archaic. I don't think so.
No.
I think there is going to be a resurgence of the travel agent. It might not be called a travel agent. It's going to be called an advisor and manager. But don't think that you are better than a travel agent.
No,
because they're calling. When I was a travel agent, they would be calling me from China, being like, "I didn't know I had to get a visa." Of course you didn't know because you didn't work with a travel agent.
Yeah.
I can go on and on. Just I'm sure you could relate to people doing stuff at home and coming back to in the office, being like, "Well, I didn't know."
Yeah, the internet is great, but it's not the answer for everything.
No, go to an expert.
There's nothing that replaces experience.
Exactly.
Yes.
So thank you guys for tuning into our travel episode. I hope you guys dug it. Just make sure to follow us. Make sure to rate us on the Apple Podcast Store. Follow us on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. And make sure to share this with your friends.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.